Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now August 20th of 2023, and given that we are only getting closer to the beginning of September, in which is when the D23 event takes place by, of course, Bob Iger, Disney, and of course all of the projects surrounding Marvel, Star Wars, and just Disney live action in general is going to be presented there. We also have a lot of things to talk about on top of this, of everything happening with Snow White 2024, which is one of the biggest box office failures in the future, without a doubt. We know that Disney is only setting themselves up for failure, and the PR is not working. Everything ranging from Rachel Zegler's past interviews resurfacing online are also not helping at all, as well as, what Bob Iger has been saying about Snow White, etc., etc. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into the subject, shall we? Now, one thing about this film is that we know that there's a lot of problems happening behind closed doors. Anything ranging from the planned re-edits of the film to the reshoots, and due to the reshoots, we talked about this the other day, the strikes are what are holding Disney back. So there are reshoots planned, but they can't pursue said reshoots until everything with WGA resolves and everything happening with SAG resolves. And even when those actually get better, it's going to be a very long time before they can even establish that. So they would most definitely have to delay the film and really kind of push it into the summer, as we discussed earlier on. However, what's intriguing about all of this has a lot to do with the recent test screening that took place for one of the cuts of Snow White. Now, with Snow White 24 still going through endless issues for Disney and Bob Iger to deal with, one major development has to do with the Snow White test screening that went haywire for Disney from negative feedback. Specifically, one aspect of the film that got highly criticized was from some of Gal Gadot's acting as the old hag when the evil queen is transformed into a monsterish design. However, the design is said to have poor practical effects and makeup that was reportedly rushed at times throughout the movie for some scenes in the makeup room when filming actual said scenes back in June of 2022. There is one scene in particular in which Gal reportedly sings as the old hag that test screenings had a strong negative opinion on. Not only did the song include horribly written lyrics about Snow White, but also Gal's singing as the old hag didn't really resonate with the screeners while she was performing on camera. It was claimed to have come across more so as a humorous scene rather than a nightmarish and scary one as originally intended by Disney. From the feedback, Disney is already looking to canceling the scene featuring Gal singing as the old hag in the castle. Now guys, let me say one thing about this before I get to the next big piece of this entire development, is that I 110% agree with a lot of you that Gal really isn't the best actress out there. And look, I will be honest, look, she has her moments in her acting career where it actually does stand out, where she does a good job, but in the grand scheme of things, I just don't believe that she's a great actress. I don't believe that she's way up there, in status with the other A-listers out there, like, of course, the ones that you all see in the Oscar-nominated material. I just don't think that she's a status of that height, but the fact that they had a scene in which she's singing as the old hag, and the fact they have a moment where the old hag is even singing in a Snow White movie, I could see why it would, yes, be humorous, and why it wouldn't really come across as nightmarish and scary as Disney tried to make it out to be. Trying to really imagine this in my mind, a witch-like creature singing that's performed by Gal, I probably would also not take it seriously as well, let's be honest here. But the context and everything ranging from how it's executed are the two major things that do matter as well. And the execution of this scene, we'll talk about this right now, it takes place all within the castle in a dark and gritty environment, very dimly lit scenes to kind of give it that nightmarish appearance. And it's not like they're trying to make it into a dark comedy in this sense. They did not want this to be humorous at all. This is why Disney is already considering canceling out this song out of Snow White. And you know what? There seems to be so many songs in this film to the point where it's almost sounding like Snow White 24 is going to be a musical. I'm not even lying right now. That's what it sounds like. But moving on here, this is where things get, you know, even all the more worse and go downhill. Now, on top of that, additionally, one other scene that test screeners were in total disbelief with had to do with Snow White fighting the huntsman that is sent out by the evil queen to destroy her. There is a sequence that plays out in the second act in which the huntsman goes out searching for Snow White, and unlike the original where the huntsman terrifies Snow White in the woods, it is now quite unlike the original where the huntsman terrifies her, and it is now the opposite. This time around, Snow White steals the dagger from him and turns it on him, and he falls on the ground begging for mercy. This is how Snow White forced information out of him on who sent him to destroy her and do whatever they were going to do with her, and learn about the evil queen's ways. This is when the evil queen's plan is given up by the huntsman to Snow White. Disney wanted to empower women completely, in which this film, from start to finish, and this was the biggest example, of course, out of all of them, for establishing all of that by Disney. And now, look, guys, let me be honest here. I'm not against female empowerment or powerful female figures in movies. Let's not get confused here. The problem is, forced agendas do not work. People out there, very well-established characters like Sarah Connor and other, you know, major characters in pop culture like Ellen Ripley, that's just to name a few. I mean, those are my top 2 favorites already. And there are dozens more, and yes, literally dozens more of great examples out there of powerful female characters that can take care of themselves, that come across as very realistic with the story and character development. When you have things like this, especially when you're taking source material and flipping it upside down, I think that's where a lot of people out there have a problem with it, including myself. You know, that's the other major issue, is when people like Disney, they take the source material, they strip it, and they destroy it, and they turn it into something new, and they basically make the woman more powerful than the man. That's when I think the issue arises, because it doesn't come across as authentic. It comes across as almost like an attack on people that like the original film the way that it is. That's what it comes across as. And it's nothing against women. I mean, this is something I can't stress enough, and people that tend to really have a common misconception with. It's not that. A lot of people don't have an issue with powerful women. What they do have an issue with are these forced agendas by Disney that just make absolutely no sense and lack common sense in a movie. And I think that this is 100% why the movie's gonna fail. You know, it's that, it's also doing what they did with the 7 Dwarfs, a lot of other examples as well out there. But anyway, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again. No.